Barb, can you hear?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So welcome. This is our January Flag Commission meeting, and at our last meeting, we selected the final 10 designs and decided to have the public rank, not vote on the designs. We decided that 1 would be the highest or best ranking and 10 would be the lowest or weakest ranking. The public poll was open from November 13th to December 12th. Each voter had to apply only 1 rank value to each design. All designs had to be ranked in order to submit, and no 2 designs could share the same ranking. We also encouraged the voters to give us their comments and suggestions. In total, we received 1,258 votes. Woohoo! After staff reviewed the submissions, 10 were duplicates and removed from that final tally. Tonight, the commission will discuss the public's rankings and will determine the 3 designs that will be forwarded to the county executive for consideration. Brian has prepared a report that shows the data in various ways. The data, and there's data that is relevant to our discussion, and they can be found on, I think, slide 31 when we get to that, and that is the top 5 based on number 1 rankings. Slide 37, the top 5 based on the cumulative scores with fewer points equated to higher ranking. And slide 45, top 5 designs based on ranked choice voting. So if there are no questions or comments, I'll turn
well, I just have one question. The agenda. I'd like to ask about the agenda. It didn't say we were going to vote. It just said we were going to have a discussion on the agenda. And also the agenda indicated that there was public comment. Well, the public, I understand, really didn't get a lot of notice here about this meeting. So I don't know if we have a lot of public on here because there wasn't sufficient notice. I know something went up just a few hours ago, but there was no notice anywhere about the meeting that you could easily find, like we've been able to find. So I don't know if we have given the public sufficient notice about coming to comment on tonight. And I didn't know that we were voting tonight. It says this discussion. It didn't say to vote on the agenda.
So I can speak to the notice, the website for the Flag Commission, which is the repository of all of the information regarding the commission and has been since the start, has been posted with the agenda and meeting notice, and the like front and center on the page there, it refers to the 28th being the meeting where these final decisions would be made. As it relates to that information also being posted to the event calendar on the county's website, it apparently was not posted there. We recognize the error, but that's not a deficiency necessarily in public notice of this meeting.
Well, was the agenda also posted?
Yes, the agenda was posted on the website.
Because I didn't see it when I first went in to look for it. So
yes, the agenda is under the meetings tab on the Flag Commission website.
okay, well, I just want to make a point that I'm concerned that there really wasn't all out effort to the public at this point, as we had done previously on all other meetings, and this one it was different, and that's why I pointed it out. It didn't get the same kind of notice. That's all. And so now then, are we going to keep the agenda, approve the agenda as indicated, or what? Because we didn't approve it. You just started, you didn't ask for an approval of the agenda.
I've never asked for the approval of the agenda. I've just followed the agenda.
Oh, well, normally people ask for the approval of the agenda, but okay.
We've never
I
done
don't
it.
recall.
Sorry.
I mean, normally that's the process. The process is to ask for approval of it, and it's a matter of record that it has been approved by the members. But just these are just some things I'm pointing out.
I think it would be like helpful to know, like the long plan that we had, that this was kind of the next step. So we knew that we were voting to get the final 3, now that we have the 5, like that was the actionable plan that we're to follow.
Yeah, at the beginning, we set our schedule as to when we were gonna do each thing. So all that the agenda shows is what those steps are in order to accomplish those things already approved.
Okay, so if there's no other objection, I'm just going to move forward with tonight's agenda. All right. So our next item is the staff report, and Brian's going to go over all the wonderful data that he has put together for us about all of the designs and the process.
I just want to say also, this is Marlena, because I'm seeing it in the chat. I do want to recognize, because I don't think the public can see, they can't see the chat, but there is a message in the chat, everything. So, anyway, I'm just making it known because I can see it.
Okay, so Brian, we can't see
We can't see
anything
the
in the
chat.
chat, so
Give me a second, I'll close out of this so we can see what's in the chat at the moment.
Getting to the actual content that's needed.
Okay, we have a commission member that said, I thought we were done dilly-dallying. So there it is for the record, everyone. Okay, let's keep moving. All right, so thank you, Madam Chair. I will try to make this as large as possible for everyone. So as Madam Chair explained, we posted to the public the top 10 votes that were decided by the consensus of this body. And we accepted ranked voting over a period of 60 days, closing January 12th. So this is the results of that process. And just to kind of recap how we got to this point, recall the extensive process that we went through to sort of outline how we're going to refine all of the submissions that we got. And that resulted ultimately in that top 10 selection back in November, or in October, excuse me. So that's step 6. And then we also, we got to our 10 designs, which were included here and posted publicly still posted on the website. These are the 10 designs. Excuse the one on the left. That was just a screen grab there.
That's okay, it reminds us where we
Right.
started.
And then the final deliberation process, just for frame of reference here, we had the public vote. That was step 7. Step 8 is final recommendations. That's the intent of this meeting today. Step 9 is to draft a report, which we would intend to do with all of the input from tonight's meeting that the group approves. And that according to the executive order, that final report is supposed to be delivered by February 7th, which is a week from Friday. So we are looking to move that as quickly as we can. And then ultimately that presents to the executive 3 recommendations for design. The executive will make a final decision on which design to present to the county council for the legislative action. So that ultimately this does require legislative approval. So how did the public vote go? Right, Madam Chair, kind of recap this, but one person, one vote. Any duplicate names or duplicate email addresses were removed. Only the first vote cast was counted. Everyone had to rank from 1 to 10. 1 was the best, 10 was the worst, least favorable, whatever, however we want to couch that. Each rank could only appear one time among the 10 designs, and all 10 designs had to be ranked. We received 1,258 votes, and 1,248 were deemed eligible. So we get to the top 5. So the executive order refers to establishing a process by which the public may vote on the submissions in order to narrow the number of submissions to the top 5, and then select 3 of the 5 publicly voted submissions to present to the county executive. All right, so we'll go one entry at a time here. So this is for reference 177. It is how the score distribution fell with number 177. You'll see that it ranked highest in category 9 and 10. Entry number 6. And this one ranked highest in ranking number 10, followed by ranking number 9. 73. Score distribution, this one ranked right around 8 and 9 were the highest, but it was a little bit more even, kind of down the middle. Flag entry number 123. This one scored the highest in category number 1 or rank number 1, followed by rank number 8. But you'll see that it heavily favors rank number 1 among the votes received. Entry number 115. This one received the highest of its rankings among category 4 and category 7. Entry number 106. Was ranked highest among 6 and 7, but again, fairly flat throughout. Entry 89 was 6 and 7 primarily among the rankings that were received. Entry number 71, and this one ranked very highly among 2s and 3s. So 2nd and 3rd rank. Number 25. One ranked very highly among 9s and 10s. But also fairly high on the other end of the range at 153 for number 1 vote. So it's, you can see how these things kind of like sway. Entry number 11. Ranked fairly high among 3s and 4s. So among those that were ranked number 1, this is how the rankings fell. So entry number 121 received 322 number 1 ranks, followed by entry number 71 at 161 number 1 ranks, followed by entry 25 at 153, 106 at 110, and 11 at 106. This will prove its sort of importance later on as we get through this process, but I wanted to walk you through as much of the data as possible. Among the number 2 rankings, again, entry number 71 ranked very high, followed by entry number 115. And then you can see, like over on the left, 177. Among those that were ranked highest in category number 3, ranked 3, was entry 71, followed by entry 11, followed by entry, 115. Entry number 4, okay, ranked number 4, entry number 115 and entry number 89 popped out among the number 4 rankings. And then lastly, ranked number 5, entry number 106, and entry number 89 for the top. There, you can see that it's fairly well spread out among those that were ranked number 5. So this is one way to look at this data. And I will say, I don't know that it's the right way or the wrong way, but it is one way to observe how this data works out. So what this represents is just a cumulative point total for each of the designs, where the lowest number of points received represents the, you know, a curve that bends toward lower scores, right? Ones,
Yeah.
twos, and threes, as opposed to the higher score that's gonna, you know, represent more high
7, 8,
votes, 7, 8, 9, 10 votes. So you can see that entry number 6 over here received the most points, which would make it presumably the least favorable of the group. Whereas entry 71 received the least points, meaning it was perceived as the most favorable, followed by entry number 123. Now, I'll say that this is distinguishable from what might be considered a ranked choice, a purely ranked choice voting system. And I'll walk through what that analysis looks like now. So, all right, so just to recap before I move into ranked choice, this is what cumulative point, very simple, just count up the number of points received. This is what the outcome would be for the top 5. Now, ranked choice voting methodology. So, and I want to recognize and thank Commissioner Marlene Giroux for pointing this out and asking for this analysis to be done. And I think it's really helpful for the group to understand what this is. So, ranked choice voting methodology, basically what you do is you take all 10 of your designs, you count up the number of times that each one received a number 1 ranking. The design that received the least number 1 rankings is then eliminated. And the scoring for each vote, so looking at it as a row, right, for each voter, that voter's next highest ranked design then gets counted as a 1. So it goes through these rounds of recalculation where as those designs are eliminated, the votes that went with those designs are recast across the remaining designs to show how that voter, how their preference would be had that design never been a part of the equation, right? So this is how it goes. All right, so round 1, the design receiving the least number of number 1 rankings was entry number 89 at 65. So that one comes out of the mix, right? So entry number 89 is no longer being counted. Those 65 votes then get recast across all of the remaining designs. So in round 2, you'll see that entry number 123 begins to gain some votes, like they gain a couple of votes here. Entry number 71 gains a couple of votes. Entry number 25 gains a couple of votes. And you can see how it gets redistributed. So in round 2, entry number 173 now only has 77 votes. So that entry falls out, right? Those 77 votes get recast. Round 3, same thing, right? Entry number 123 is continuing to climb. Entry 71 is continuing to climb a little bit. 25, 11, 106, they're all sort of climbing. 177 is now out. 98 additional votes get recast into round 4. Same deal. Entry number 6 is now at 105 total votes. That one gets nixed. And those 105 votes get redistributed into round 5. And now this is the last round, or second to last round, excuse me. Entry number 115 falls out at the lowest number of votes. Those 139 votes get redistributed until this is where we are. So you've got entry number 123, 106, 71, 25, and 11. And they are ranked as follows, excuse me. So in this methodology, we're like 123, followed by 71, followed by 25, 106, and 11. So how does this differ from our cumulative vote, right? Let's go back to the cumulative vote and look at that. Bear with me a sec. because I don't have a side by side. It would have been easier if I had a side by side. So in the third ranked position, flag 115 is no longer among the mix, right? That is replaced by number 25. In the first and second positions, flag 123 is the first position, flag 71 is in the second position. And similarly, in 4 and 5, those two are flipped in this ranked choice voting model. So, and I just wanted to share that that was the first time, and I'm really glad that I went through the exercise to understand it better, but it's the first time I'd ever done it. So I relied on some AI to double check my work. And thank you, ChatGPT, they were able to verify that that was actually correctly ranked. So I had someone to look over my shoulder and help. So that's what the data says, okay? And I think it's up to the commission now to decide how it wants to use that information to determine what the top 5 are, and then ultimately what you do, to select the top 2. Are there any questions?
Well,
Yes, Barb?
I just want to say thanks for taking the time to go through that and to verify your ranking. I think, that must have taken a lot of your time. So I just want to say thanks for doing that.
I agree. I was going to say that too. Absolutely. It's been very helpful. I'm a visual learner too. So seeing things and like connecting the dots was extremely helpful. So thank you. Thanks, Marlena, for suggesting that. Thank you all.
So this is Barb. Can I ask a question?
Yes, Barb.
What is the, how do I decide whether I prefer the cumulative point methodology versus the ranked choice voting methodology? Give me a little more explanation there.
I don't know how you necessarily make that choice. I think what ranked choice voting essentially does is say, imagine a world where your candidate or your favored flag design didn't exist. Instead of losing your voice or your choice in that matter, your choice gets to be re-represented or redistributed in a different way. And so it gives the opportunity for us to take a look and consider the input of additional folks whose preferences may not have been for one of these 5, right? Had they had their way, they would have selected 1 or 2 different ones. Alternatively, the cumulative is a bit more like what we think of as traditional, ballot voting, where you get your one shot and that's all that it is, right? You cast your vote and the winner takes all, right? There's no sort of effort to represent the outliers that didn't become the plurality, if you will. So I don't have an opinion about which one is better.
Okay, I have another follow-up before I let the floor go to somebody else. What does the association that guided us on our process regarding the flag experts, what methodology do they recommend?
It's a good question, Barb. And honestly, I don't think that they necessarily opined on that
I don't think
question.
they addressed ranked choice. I think they just talked about vote. I don't remember any discussion of.
I believe that they did do the rank, more of a ranked, sort of a rating.
Yes.
So you could determine which were the higher quality
Yeah.
in terms of that, and maybe one could look at the slide that has the top number 1 rankings. And that would be slide number,
I don't have a problem with
that was slide number 31. Slide 31 is the same as the ranked choice voting.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay, wrong one.
Yeah.
For two? No, number one. Here we go. Here we go. We got it. I think.
You're still on,
I'm still on
you're
number
still on two.
Okay.
Yeah. And so you will note that it is the same as the ranked choice voting. Number one is 123, that received the most, 71,
Got the second.
25, 106, and 11.
So 11 was at the bottom,
So
where
that
it's
they
in ranked choice.
swap.
11 was like,
It was 11.
So I have a follow-up question. How do I, in order to answer which methodology is good, I'm curious and I'm conflicted as to how a completely new flag came in with the ranked choice voting, which was not in the cumulative point voting. That to me means that we're not counting right. Or I mean, I'm just sharing with you that the illusion is that something went wrong. So we had 5 top ones using cumulative, and now we have a new, one of them has been lost and a new one pops in. How does that happen?
So let's look at
so
the distribution of the votes. Actually, I think that might actually help understand why this happened. So you have a lot of folks that ranked this 9 and 10, but there were also a fair number that ranked it 1 and 2. And so as these votes get recast over time, actually, maybe that's not even the right way to look at it.
I'm going to suggest that you read the website. I'm going to suggest that you read the language on that website, that they are known to be the definitive source on it. That language that I supplied to you that is from the website that I've emailed you, it's right on their homepage. It really is quite succinct, number one, and then they are the gold standard for ranked choice voting. And I think if you read those 2 sentences off to people, I think they would have a really good understanding of what ranked choice voting then does. The goal of it pretty much is just this. It is a mechanism that ensures that everybody's voice is actually counted and heard. That throughout it, that in essence, that is what it is. That is why it's gaining like the prominence that it's gaining. Everything, and I'm not going to say anything else about the method itself, but that is the point of why people engage in ranked choice voting, is to make sure that there aren't people that think that at the end, when all was said and done, just because they're lowest, they may have gone through there and in that ranking thing there because they were forced to do it. And that is what you do in a ranked choice voting situation. You do put people in a situation to make them, first of all, have to lodge a vote for every single entry. They had no choice in that. And we did that. I thought that we did that because that is a telltale sign, and that's a hallmark of ranked choice voting. If you don't do that and give every one of them a ranking, if you give people a choice and they can stop it, just go at 3 and don't have to go any further, that's one thing. But that is not what we did with our commission. We made it that every single person had to say every entry in the 10 of forcing that ranking. But when you do that, then the people, like what Brian showed in the chart, everybody that when you do the original calculation of, okay, here are how the number, who said what entry was rated as number 1. You could see very clearly that the one that he showed was overwhelming. It actually had more votes. There were more people who voted against one of the things, 495 or something, or whatever it was, that said no to one of the entries that they said they gave it a 10. That was the highest vote getter of all of it. But see, then that's 495 people then that their first choice, like they got knocked out. it redistributes it when it knocked out that entry and said, okay, so that one that got the lowest number, because everybody said, all these people gave it a 10, all's not lost then. So then what was your next one that you said? And that's what ranked choice voting does. And that's what has happened here with this process. So.
Okay.
I think it makes sense. It does it shows like the strongest flags, the strongest supported flags. So that would be, I mean, those 5.
Yeah. Okay, I read the website, Marlena, and I appreciate you pointing me to it. I see it, and I'm not an expert in this, but as a scientist, I'm going to accept what it tells me here, and that is when you're making a decision with more than 2 choices and where voters have equal say, ranked choice voting is the right tool for the job. It uncovers preferences with greater accuracy and fidelity than traditional voting methods. So based on that, I hear you. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I just want to say this one other thing, and then I'll return the floor back. That if one of the biggest things for why with ranked choice voting that it actually gets deployed is for one very important reason. This kicks in when there is not a number 1 choice that got the highest number, not the highest number, but that got the majority. That number 1 ranking for flag design, whatever, 1, 2, 3, because of the total number of number 1s, there was no design that we had that got the majority. The majority, 1,258 or 1,248 votes. There was a design that would have needed to have 600, whatever is the half of 1,290. None of them did. And that is why when you're in a voting situation and that happens and everything else, that is why people use ranked choice voting.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Marlena. I see Beck has their hand up.
So I think that's pretty cool. I appreciate the explanation, but when it boils down to it, we only have to kick out 1 flag. So we should just look at the 2 flags that are fighting for 3rd place, so to speak. We can recommend the 2 that got the most public votes in both systems and then discuss between the 2 that are left. And then we'll be able to all be done and go eat dinner and go to sleep.
I would also like to point out that we have on the agenda here an opportunity for public comment, and I know that there's at least 1 person here that may be interested in speaking.
Before we vote, we would like to hear from the public
On our
public comment.
Are we go ahead?
So we're going to go to the public comment before we take any further discussion or vote.
Joel, can you hear us?
Oh,
Joel, are you there?
It's only half listening last minute.
Would you care to make a comment, Joel?
First of all, as I put in the chat, I only happened to find out about this meeting by looking at the event page and then seeing Marlena Giroux's Facebook post. The Wayback Machine for January 24th, 25th, I cannot find any mention of the meeting, and your page has always been confusing. You have a meeting and an agenda page, but it's not there. So, Brian, I'm not sure when it was actually uploaded to the website because the Wayback people didn't find it. I guess the flag number I had first choice was 106, the seal type. Because I was concerned how it's going to be reproduced. I put in some of my comments, some of them, and how they're going to look in black and white when they're reproduced and how they're going to appear on the flagpole. Lastly, as I mentioned at other meetings, I hope you could suggest to the county executive that a particular effective date is chosen so that it's not just the 61 days after the council gets around to passing it. The 250th anniversary commission doesn't seem to realize, and left out of their purview, that it coincides with the 175th anniversary of the county on July 4th, 2026. So either pick that day or Flag Day or some other day in between now and then, but it's 17 months from now and could be less by the time this gets through. So I don't know what, I asked Brian Schefter if the county executive has any plans for dealing with the 175th anniversary as part of the 250 for the country. But it would seem an opportunity to have everything together since the county was finally approved on July 4th of 1851. So again, I hope you could add that suggestion to your report. And again, I think you have some notice problems, as was pointed out by some of the members.
Thank you.
All right, so we can continue our discussion and final recommendations. Does anyone have any further comments?
I have a suggestion.
Beck, yes?
Would it be possible for us to display, like maybe you can screenshot the cumulative point result and just temporarily add that to the slide of the ranked choice so we can see the difference between them right next to each other, and then we can
I just wrote them down.
vote some out like we were doing before when we had 200 designs, because that might help us narrow down.
Is that acceptable to do though? Because we don't have a 5. I thought we were supposed to allocate the 5, or would it be acceptable? I actually liked Beck's idea when she said, look at the one that's in place of the other.
Yeah.
Like essentially 4 of the 5 are in the top 5, but one of them is not. I mean, I would make the case that flag 25 is not in standard with the good flag, bad flag at all because of the clip art. But I mean, that might affect our like decision where flag 115 does follow the standard for good flag, bad flag.
I want to piggyback off of that too and say that I think we should have a little primer again about good flag, bad flag, what the things are. If somebody would be able to read that off of our website or whatever they need to do about what the elements are supposed to be per Mr. K, everything for what they should be. Thank you.
Simple.
Yeah.
If you can display those flags first, I think that would go a long way to helping.
So I'll just recap the 5 elements of good flag, bad flag that are on the website. Keep it simple, use meaningful symbolism, use 2 to 3 basic colors, and I think we, for purposes of this body, extended that to 4 basic colors. No lettering or seals, and be distinctive or be related. Those were the categorical.
Just don't think it follows keeping it simple, like as far as keeping it so simple a child can draw it, and patterns and symbols. I just think that shrunk down it would be difficult.
I
Well-
would also say that in many of the comments from the public comments, there was comments about the deer image, the Queen Anne's lace image, and it being very complicated.
Yes, busy. Just think if that's helping us narrow
Well,
5.
Well, I thought that the real question was what method were we going to select, and not quibble over which flag, but which ranking we would, which method we were going to rate, and that then determine what flags would be in it. And I thought that we were looking at the ranking as more favorable, as a fair way to make a judgment on this. So
Ranking is just to show us public opinion, and then we are the guiding factor to recommend.
I
to
understand, but we had to determine what method of ranking were we going to go with for us. Now, I'm not talking
We
about
can
the
go
public,
with both.
and you
Both
can't go with
results are right
both.
here.
So we need to determine which one we're going with. And then,
Make a motion to use the cumulative point methodology, and then we could do a
So
vote.
Chelsea has made a motion to use the cumulative
Second.
point, and Ellen has seconded.
So we can.
Okay, can you show that,
Yes,
please?
okay. This is the cumulative point methodology.
These are the designs as a result of that. Did you want to look at the graph or the designs? Barb?
No, I'm fine. I think Pearl has it right. We vote on a methodology. We've got a logic and a rationale, and we go with the top three as the public voted, and that's the end of it. And Calvin Ball takes over. That's my opinion.
thank you. There is just one other thing that I want to point out. We were talking about the
Well, we
number
have
of
to
colors
motion.
that we approved and whatever. And we have written that the description should not be vague, unclear, with unjustified connections to Howard County. And the flag design is not vague. Now, that was part of what we had accepted after hearing the presentation from the North American thing. And I'm questioning the fact that there is more than more colors and the description of what flag number 2 says. That was the high that was up here now. Flag number 2, the description. It
The
said
red,
something about
white,
it said
What the
something about
stars were.
railroad, and I don't know where that would be. And that's really quite unclear because we did not have underground railroad here in Howard County.
No, it's B&O Railroad.
I'd have to pull.
It's the oldest railroad station in the country.
I thought it said underground railroad. I don't think it said the
yeah.
B&O.
We have
Some-
already
All right.
disqualified those which would be disqualified. So these are all qualified flag designs that meet all of our flag practices. We had the rubric for what makes a good flag repeated to us, and these all do still follow that. The discussion was to be whether one follows more than the other when it comes to the top 3 being a little bit different. So if we look between flag 115, and I'm sorry I can't see the number of the deer flag, we would be discussing between those 2 flags which one is a better flag, or the motion, which I didn't actually hear a vote on, was to pick which methodology we wanted to do, which I heard that you were on board with. So can we continue that vote so that we know which one we're going with?
Yeah, call for the question.
My motion.
So we had a motion, we had a second for the cumulative point methodology. All in favor?
Aye.
2,
Aye.
I see 3, 4,
4,
Agreed.
you're gonna have to,
I
5,
Five.
Aaron. All right, I'm gonna have to go one by one to make sure that we have our number correct. So I'm gonna call by name, Chelsea, Ellen,
Yes.
Tracy?
No.
Tracy's a no. Okay, Aaron? Is it yes, is that correct?
Yes.
Jonathan is a yes, is that correct?
Yes, that's good. That's correct.
Mark is a yes, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, Pearl,
Against.
that's a no. Okay,
It's a
Marlena?
no.
Against.
Okay, that's a no. Rashida?
yes.
It's a yes. Stephanie?
No.
Stephanie is a no. And have I missed anyone other than the chair?
I'm a yes.
Beck
I'm a
votes
yes.
yes to cumulative.
Excuse me, sorry, Beck. Thank you. Beck is a yes.
And Barb's a yes.
Barb's a yes. Thank you. All right, let me tally this real quick. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the yes. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 in the no. The yes or yays carried. So the cumulative point methodology is accepted.
So at this point, our charge is to pick the top, the commission's top 3 choices to recommend to the county executive based from the 5 that we have here. Can everyone see the 5 flags?
Yes, I see them.
Any discussion about the 5 flags?
Yes, I would like to posit that unless someone feels particularly strongly about flag 11 or 106 over 115, it could just be a vote on, do we accept ranking 1 through 3, yes or no?
I agree with that.
Agree with that. That's then, so a better way to just say that, I would suggest would be, because if we do that, then if we're just going to decide if that's the way that we wanted the commission to run, and possibly we do, I just am not aware that we voted to do so. If we're just going to have it be that the public ranking of it, that is going to be, and that those are the 3, then why would we need to be having any discussion? If we get rid of 11 and 106, then we've got the 3.
Okay,
Is that
so
what
which
is that
one
what we're
are
doing?
which one are you vying for to replace one of the first 3 then?
No. No,
No, that's not the top. That's not the topic. Everything. The topic is the way that you're saying that you're suggesting that we do it. I'm saying to you, if we do that, what you just suggested, take off 11 and 106, then we have our 3. What else is there left to do? We've got the 3. End of done. The meeting ends. Is that what we're doing?
I love being able to eat dinner with my family and have a good night's rest. And I feel like these meetings tend to go on and on. So I'm open
But
to
if the
hearing your
meetings are allocated
perspective.
for 2 hours, Beck. So yeah, they are allocated for 2 hours. So
I
that's
know.
the job.
Okay,
I
so is there any other discussion? I mean, again, our job is to recommend three from the top 5. We've got, one person who indicates that it.
Seems simple. I think it's pretty clear that flag 71 and flag 23 by public comment should move forward. Now, I do think there's place for discussion on flag 115, 11, and 106, only because I think the order was a little bit different when we looked now because we have the knowledge of the other information. So maybe those would be up for discussion, but I'm also not opposed to the 3 going forward because that's why we asked for public comment, was so that we could get a gauge, and we've also had a lot of say in what the final was.
Okay, and I think I have 2 hands. I have 2 hands up. Jonathan, do you want to go? Is your hand up?
No, that was from earlier, but yeah, I'm in favor of us just after discussing, just calling for a vote on the methodology to pick the top 3.
Well,
Okay.
we already did that.
We did do the methodology.
Oh, I think he meant
For the top
just
3,
choosing
because
these
well,
3.
if we did that, then the meeting is over, but it's not. So that's what I'm trying to clarify.
The wrong one.
Okay.
You're making the same suggestion Beck did. Okay.
Mark, did I
Yes,
see
ma'am.
your
Yep.
hand up, Mark?
Can I have a comment, please?
Okay, Barb, it looks like Mark's hand is down.
Yeah. So we've selected cumulative point methodology, and I agree with previous speakers. I just wanted to put my stake in the ground. Apparently, the public has chosen 71, 123, and 115. And I think we should go with that because the public has spoken, and I don't think we should ignore that and send those 3 to the county executive. That's the way I feel about it. Thank you.
Especially if there are
May
no
I speak
specific
to that?
objections to
Is that a
4 and 5.
motion?
may I speak to that, Madam Chair?
Pearl, yes?
You speak to.
Flag number 3 was the one that was so questionable about whether it was a winner or not. It all depended how you did the ranking. So since that one was such a question mark, I believe that's the one that should not just go along, and we should really take a vote on it, because that was the one that was in question. It was not really what the public wanted if we look at it another way. So since that's the big question, I could not go along with the first 3 that came up with the most as the one to go. And I'll tell you, flag number 123, there are a lot of things about that I really have some concerns over, that I think will be questionable later on when it hits the council area and we have public comment. Because it definitely has some questions on whether the description of it is very questionable, and the fact that it looks so much as the Maryland flag, which we said intentionally, and we discussed it, that was not what we wanted to do. We wanted a flag that would certainly be distinctive of the Maryland flag. I don't even know why we ended up with this one in here, but anyway, that's my thought, and I don't think that flag 115 should automatically be thrown in.
Thank you, Pearl. Ellen, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, we can see everything here on the good flag, bad flag. We can see what the votes were and everything. Could we have a rereading of what the symbolism means, just to remind us if there are questions here, we want to make sure we're clear on those for these 5 flags. I think that might help us feel more comfortable with what the public will be looking at or thinking about.
Ryan is trying to pull that up.
I think it's also important that, like, when this goes forward, they're gonna have 3 very different flags to choose from, which I think they've all like proven to be very good flags, and they've gone through the process of us voting them through the final. So I think that in that choice, they'll be able to, or whoever makes that decision will be able to choose between those 3. So just eliminating it kind of takes away that public portion, which they did vote on.
And we do have some commission members that very publicly want to support the public's choice in this. And, I'm sorry if it wasn't on the website with enough time. I'm not in charge of that, but I heard that was a concern. If the public's opinion is very important to us, which I personally think that it is, and those are the 3 they went with when presented with the same background, the same story, the same inspiration as we were, and we've already chosen our methodology, I don't see the point in making it more complicated at this point, right at the end of the process.
Great, because we also did vote on the methodology. So we took away debating whether the 3rd flag was to be questioned. We decided that this was the methodology.
So here's the description. Do you want to?
Would you like us to read it?
That would be nice.
No, don't read it. We already went over this.
Mm-hmm.
We have an hour left to our
I
meeting.
second that, Barb. We've read
meeting.
it 3 times over. And if you
Thank
haven't
you.
read it, then that's not our issue, honestly.
Okay, so we've had a discussion then about the flags, the 3 flags. Is anyone willing to make a motion at this moment in time?
I'll move that we accept 1, 2, and 3 from the cumulative scale that we opted for as representative of the public's wish and consistent with our good flag, bad flag guidelines.
And I will second that.
Who was that?
Beck.
Beck?
For clarity, the motion is to accept flags 71, 123, and 115.
I accept the amendment to my motion.
Okay, so the motion on the table right now is to accept number 71,
123,
115.
and 115. That is the motion on the table and seconded. We've discussed it. Any further discussion?
Well, just again, I'm going to repeat, to say that flag 115 had the top number of votes. It's just not right to say. That was the only one in contention. And that one should not just automatically be put in without voting on all 5 flags. Because that was the only one that had contention. And you're just throwing it in automatically and say, this, take it because it's number 3. And it is not technically number 3. It did not get as many votes.
Cumulative
In
point.
terms
it
of
is.
the
All right,
cumulative
I'm saying
point,
that I can't see how you can just automatically say, okay, this is what the public wanted. The public actually voted more for the other flag that isn't even in here because you decided to
You are
change the
free to vote against the
methodology.
motion.
So
You are free to vote against the motion. That is your choice.
Thank you for
Voting.
So we will go ahead and vote.
Okay, we'll call the roll again. Kelsey?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Maren?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Earl?
Earl?
No? An
Abstention?
Vote, okay. Marlena?
No.
No. Rashida dropped off. Stephanie?
no.
Beck?
I voted yes, and Rashida actually posted in the chat yes, but she had to make a quick call. So she's out, but she'll be back.
Barb?
Yes.
And we're joined by Amanda.
Yes.
Is there anyone I missed? 1, 2, counting yay votes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 yays, 2 nays, and 1 abstention. The motion carries.
Great.
I'm going to ask too, for purposes of, because we know how these meetings, that when the teleplay gets put on the YouTube channel, that no one can see, the public cannot see the comments. And since, as Beck just pointed out, she's made reference to things that were in the chat. And so those things are not going to follow through naturally. And so I'm just going to put it in that the chair, I believe that you need to be making sure that you read all of these in, or somebody, Brian, to read them all into the record, because that's, since now the vote was made part of a record, we need to make everything part of the record.
Would you care to read the comments into the record, Marlena?
So at this point, we've selected our 3 designs that are going to be going to be recommended to the county executive. And our next steps are to draft a report to present to the county executive on February 7th.
Sorry, did you not want me to read these into the record? Because I was reading them.
I'm sorry, we didn't hear you. We didn't hear.
Yeah, somebody muted me, but yes, I was talking.
Okay. I don't think anyone muted you, but go ahead, please.
Should I start over?
Yes, please.
Okay, 6:09, Beck Steckler. I thought we were done dilly-dallying. 6:11 p.m., Joel Hurowitz. Looking at Wayback Machine for January 25th and January 25th, I cannot find notice of meeting. Beck Steckler at 6:25 said AI is not the most environmentally friendly choice. I'd recommend avoiding it in the future. 6:29 p.m., Beck Steckler said ranked choice is cool and all, but it wasn't what we agreed we would be grading on, and that isn't how any other voting and election works in Maryland. The people voted for their favorite one, and if their choice wasn't popular, then it doesn't make sense to let it become more popular by counting their secondary votes. 6:30 p.m., Jonathan Alexander said, after this conversation, let's vote on how we can remove 1 to 3 flags, might make things easier. 6:32, Beck Seckler says, great idea, Jonathan. 6:43 p.m., Beck Seckler says, I vote aye on cumulative point. 6:44 p.m., Mark Stout said, I agree with Barb and Pearl. 6:58 p.m., Beck Seckler says aye. 6:58 p.m., Rashida George says aye. 6:59 p.m., Rashida George says I have to make a quick call, aye. And then Amanda at 7 p.m. said yes. That concludes the comments in the chat.
Great, thank you, Marlena. All right.
Without any context, what would that mean to people? I mean, I guess I'm wondering, you know, if someone is looking at those comments, how would they know what they're referring to?
That's why I read in the timestamp, because it goes according with when they're watching the replay on the YouTube video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Got
that's
it.
why.
But public comments only accepted during public comment. So I don't know if Joel was making comments separately.
It's been read. Okay, thank you, Marlena. So we're going to our next step. We made our final recommendations. Our next step is to draft a report. Staff is going to put together a record of all of the activities that we've done for the past year. I would assume that it's very similar to what we're looking at right now. And then we will share that draft report with the commission online via email, gather comments. And that is the plan that we're recommending. Any discussion?
Can you repeat that again, please?
So we need to draft a report to the county executive. Staff, Brian, will be putting together that report based on much of the information that is prepared for our meetings. And then we will share that draft report with the full committee for comments and recommendations. And we will approve the draft, have the full committee approve the draft before we submit it online as well. Any other thoughts about that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think that the images in particular, I think that an emphasis should be placed on that would be highly valuable for the county executive to have in him making his deliberations. He should not only have what the public said about the writer of or I guess the person who created the, what they wrote for their design element. Yes, that's important to have be in there, certainly, and I'm sure that'll go. But I think that also there needs to be a concerted effort for the county executive to hear and understand what some of the things that our commissioners themselves did actually say in discussions about each of these 3 designs that we now just put forward. He should know that because, well, those were things that we did say about it before we put it into the public domain for them to rank for the top 3, and now they are the 3. But since we were the ones that he asked for us to give our viewpoint and our expertise and et cetera, to do all this, I would strongly suggest that we put in there, have stuff in there, and that stuff can be found, I would imagine, in the last 2 meetings that were had, those October meetings, those discussions for what we thought about those designs. They're in there.
Thank you, Marlena. Yes,
Well,
I think we can go back and try to capture some of the, whatever was recorded on the video and in our video minutes, and try to capture what was said at those meetings when we were discussing the flag designs. Are you talking about maybe some of the edits or revisions or suggestions for changes to those designs?
Not necessarily, although that brings up a good point too, but that's only because of how many times, I mean, I didn't watch the replay of the first October meeting, but I did now watch twice in preparation for tonight. I did watch twice the video and all the discussion that was had at the last meeting in October, in which, you know, of course, the final designs, the real final, where once it got down to like, you know, 15, 20, 15, and then it was whittling down. There were lots of things that were said by us commissioners regarding each of the designs. And of course, now that we only have it down to 3, that should make it even easier. I mean, all I had to do was slide my finger on the YouTube video, slide it and fast forward until I could see the flag design that Brian had put up. And then that's the marker where you would know, like, okay, this is when people started talking everything. And there are some things there were lots. In particular, I know there were lots of things that were said about flag design 1, 2, 3. There were a lot of things said about flag 1, 2, 3. A lot of important things that I believe that the county executive, I believe that he needs to know that, I mean, it's part of the public record. Anybody can sit and watch in advance of, when it goes to the county council. I would expect that that's what people will do, hear what we had to say. He should know what people have to say about those designs.
Yeah, so this is Barb. I would recommend that the links to the meeting tapes or whatever you call it, the audio or the video, whatever we have, just be included in the final report for use by the county executive. And I think that will, I think he's a public servant. He's going to want to take a look at those. And I think that's good enough transparency.
And it's the entire record.
Just the links to all the minutes. Yeah, the whole meeting. That'll be good enough.
May I speak? I don't know how to do the hand, so I'm sorry I have to speak up because I don't see where I can raise my hand.
It's okay, Pearl, go ahead.
The county executive is not going to take time to sit and look at all of those. And I think that most commissions will give a timeline and additional information that they particularly think that he should know and pull it out. He's not going to sit and look at all those meetings and what we said. So I think that we should make it as easy as possible for him to understand and have all the information to go forward. I particularly would like to be included what some of the comments that we did say, for instance, you know.
So Pearl, you're advocating that we cherry pick certain comments, which you just did just now, and not others. And I would advocate that the entire, the link to the entire meeting content be given to the county executive. That's the most accurate. It's the most transparent. It fulfills what Marlena is concerned about and probably everybody on here. And that, to me, that's a business to business step. That's part of what we should be doing.
Well, I guess Brian would be the one to know more about what the executive might want more so than anybody. You know, he understands more about that. But I do believe that there are a lot of comments that if he looks at it, for instance, you know, at the last meeting of our top 10 picks, one of the commissioners said that it didn't meet the requirements, and that is also on tape. So we need to, you know, if you say look at it, it's there on tape, and it is saying that we had in our top 10 a flag that did not meet the minimum requirements.
Pearl, are you then volunteering to go find those quotes and compile them for the county executive to look at? Because otherwise you're going to be having Brian sitting through 18 hours of footage.
Brian will not be sitting through 18 hours to do it. This is Mark. Yeah, so let me help everybody out here. On the YouTube channel, where the video is, it is standard policy now that this county, when they put them up, they have to put them up, and there is a transcript. that has followed along with it. And that only makes sense, of course, for hearing impaired folks and so forth. There is a transcript, so it's not as difficult as people are trying to, I think, make it seem like it's going to be, nor so time intensive. Then if the county executive wants to have further context beyond when we were discussing, when the flags were being shown up on the screen, he can look at all of it or have one of his staff members do so if he wants. But I think the suggestion here is so that Dr. Ball is not taken off guard, possibly. Everybody needs to remember when it goes in front of the county council and he files the pre-filed legislation or so forth for this to try to get this passed through, it will go under another public process then in doing that. And so where there are questions, the county council has the right to ask questions, and they have the right to ask him questions too about this. What I'm saying is that then makes sense to make this as easy as possible for him. And then he can go and look at the whole thing or more of it if he chooses to. We can quite easily do this.
Yeah, I agree. Just giving the links is sufficient enough.
Yeah, I agree.
The links are sufficient. Otherwise, you're cherry picking, folks. You're cherry picking what you want him to look at and saying, you don't need to look at the rest. That is not appropriate. That is not transparent. It's not factual.
How is that cherry picking when it's only about when it was in front of everybody's face, when it was, Brian, we had a process and that's how it was happening. The flag.
The process is we provided a link to each public meeting, and Dr. Ball will take that very seriously, and I assure you he will utilize those links.
I don't think we're going to sway anybody's opinion. So I think, do we have a motion one way or the other on this?
Barb made a motion.
Barb, did you make a motion?
Yes, I mean, my motion would be that the final report include, based on transparency and 110% accuracy, the actual video / transcript / audio of each public meeting as per the definition of a public meeting. Thank you. That's my motion.
I second.
Chelsea seconded. Okay. With no further discussion, all in favor of that motion?
Aye.
We're going to have to call. So we are going to start with Amanda.
Aye.
Mark Stout.
Yeah, hold on. I couldn't find my mute button. Yes, I agree.
Okay, Beck.
Yes.
Pearl.
No.
Aaron.
I think I'm going to abstain from this one.
Aaron abstains. Jonathan.
Yes.
Stephanie.
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Ellen.
Yes.
Chelsea.
I was a yes, but you already have.
Sorry. Okay. Did I get Marlena?
No.
Did I miss anyone else?
I'm a yes.
Barb, okay, Barb.
I'm yes.
Yeah, Barb was a yes.
Did I miss anyone else?
Sorry, I just need to tally this really quick.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure I've got it. Chelsea, yes.
Yeah.
Ellen, yes. Amanda, yes. Mark, yes. Beck, yes. Pearl, no. Aaron, abstain. Jonathan, yes. Stephanie, yes. Tracy, yes. Marlena, no. Barb, yes. Is that all accurate?
Yeah.
Yes.
It is.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the affirmative, 2 in the negative, and 1 abstention. The motion carries.
Okay, so that motion is carried. And then, Brian, when do you think we can draft the report and send it to the commission?
I will endeavor to get the draft to everyone by Monday.
draft. Brian's going to try to get the draft by Monday. Okay, and so if everyone can review it and get back to us, I'm sure there'll be some instructions along with that. Any other business?
I'll move we adjourn.
Okay. A consensus?
I move we adjourn by consensus.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, everybody. This was.
Thank you.